welcome back. Thank you for staying with us this far. We do appreciate your company, and we also would love to know where you're watching us from. So why don't you go ahead and check in via our various social media platforms. The official hashtag on Twitter is Good Morning Kenya. Our official station handle across all the social platforms is at KBC Channel 1. My handle is Jain Wambui. So today on our family conversation, we're going to be talking about something that is still very ripe in the air, and this is in line with the KCPE results that were put out in the past week. Now, each child got what they got, and the aftermath that comes after the results is what so many families don't get to share. So today we're going to be focusing on how to manage those results, and especially so if you are among the group or your child is among the group that did not get the grade or the marks that they were hoping to get, and they are disappointed, or you as a parent are disappointed. How do you navigate these waters to ensure that both you and your child are able to move forward from this particular time in life, this event? And to help us with this conversation, we have two ladies. Victor was apologizing for gender parity issues previously. We go the whole 9 yards here. Here we have two ladies with us, an all-female panel today. I'll start with Karira, who is a teen youth mentor. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Jane.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We also have Chege, who is a mental health advocate. Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning, Jane.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
All right. So again, questions, comments, clarification, we absolutely welcome them, and we will be addressing them as and when they do come in. So before we even get further in, Mercy, the previous discussion we were talking about activities that we can involve kids during this holiday, and I understand you have a mentorship program that has been ongoing. How's that coming along?
Wow, that is interesting. It is amazing.
Yes.
You involve them in different activities where they have to experience. How we run our programs is you teach them in class and then they do them practically. If it is maybe camping, you teach about camping and then they go camping. If it's about hike, you teach about a hike and then they go hiking. Even the normal stuff, yes, of the soft skills. If it's about how to help at home, the chores, ways, not just theory
and practical.
Yes,
you're taught to go improve, practice it.
Yes.
And what about you, Catherine? Because I know you're also very big when it comes to mentoring the teen and the youth. What are some of the activities that you have been engaging the youth?
There's a group that I'm doing every Friday.
Yes.
This Friday is going to be the 4th one. And Jane, they are telling me hilarious things and very sad things. Yes. I spoke to the young ones and they told me when they are doing kalongolo, they do sex. But the first time they thought it was one of their play games. But now because I speak forthright, the second one they said, Madam, atufanyi ile kalunguru baya. So I'm empowering them. I'm giving them 3 things: information, fact, and warning. Because our children think that sex is a play game. And because nobody tells them about sex, they think they want to venture. And, you know, it is very, very tempting. Yeah. So we are empowering them, doing close follow-ups, and then also reaching out for, thanks to technology. So I have quite a number of people that are mentoring online. Some are telling me, my mother leaves me alone, and they go drinking for the night. Some are suffering attempt rape. The situation on the ground is not very good. But again, there's a lot of hope.
There is a lot of hope, because, you know, these are some of the things that we sort of expected, given the long holiday.
Yes.
Kids will be at home, they will be exposed to so many people.
Yes.
And different environments. So that is why we like having these conversations that touch on kids. Now let's come to the topic of conversation today. KCPE exams results were put out in the past week, and we have seen the top students come out to celebrate. But whenever we are having national results being put out, we always celebrate those that did well. And there's always the category that, you know, were at the middle, and those that did not perform as well as expected. Before we even get to the different categories, let me start with you, Catherine. Okay. Your just general view when it comes to how we appreciate or view exam results, not even just being KCPE or KCSE.
What I want to tell each one of us is that exam is not the end of life. It's actually a stage to the next level, and it's very good for us to celebrate. You can imagine if you score 428 and we tell you to tone down and you feel like you have done it all, we need to celebrate. But again, as we celebrate, we don't want to forget those that have scored a few 60s, 70s. Mm-hmm. So we need to be able to encourage all of them. And I want to say 5 things as I start so that I can be able to reach the student and reach the parent. Number 1, that child is a gift from God. regardless of what marks they scored, they are a gift from God. Number 2, that child is yours. That one that has got 65, they are your child. Number 3, which I find very powerful, is that even that water, Jane, is usable. So we cannot demean the child because they have gotten little marks. I normally say scored fewer. We need to know that even that water can be used to put off fire, can be used to wipe more dust, can be thrown out there. So no child is useless. Number 4, we need to give these children and parents a lot of hope. The word of God tells me, and hope does not disappoint. Number 5, even that one that had 65 and the one that scored 428, when we go into Form 1, all of us are going to start at the same pace. So what our children need to know, and our parents, is 3 things. That as they go in on the next step of life, they need a lot of faith, they need a right attitude, and they need effort. Exam is not the end of life. Exam is a stage the next level. So we need to encourage our students, we need to encourage our parents. And you know, Jane, me, I was never celebrated, but now I celebrate myself. When I did my CP, there was no KCP at our time. I scored not very well.
Yes.
I scored 27 out of the possible 36. But look at where I am now because of putting an extra effort. So children, mommy, I want to tell you that the results that were announced last week, that is now a past. What we need to do is soldier on, knowing that we can change our future by making decisions that defend our destiny.
All right. Now, let me come to you, Master. Still on the same when it comes to your general view on how we perceive exam results and the weight that we give to them, looking at our country, our setup, our cultural background, and what role they have to play in that.
Thank you, Jane. About the outcome of the exam, look at it like this. The exam is usually done by 3 people: the student, the teacher, and the parent. All these 3 people have expectations. And when we are looking at the expectations, we forget to look at some things. You've talked about our country. Like this particular exam, we forgot to look at the time children were home for almost a whole year.
Yes.
Did they get a proper transition back to class? Did they get? Not everyone got that proper transition back to class. So some of them were still struggling to come back to class. When they were just picking to come back to class, here is the exam. And because maybe most of them were not well prepared, it does not mean even the ones who failed, they are not in a good place to perform. It is the circumstances around and surrounding us. So that is why we should not gauge with the exams how we are. That is not the right thing. Let me tell you, I saw a school that does so well all the time. I know because I always see them celebrating in the estate. This time, they only had 1,400. Usually they have quite a lot. But what did they do? They chose to celebrate as well. They did exactly how they do it. And even those students, they know they did their best. So that is how we should approach it. Let us know we all did our best. And if someone did do their best, like what Catherine have said here, we are all going to Form 1. We are starting at a level ground. No, even if you had 400 and the 64 she's talking about, here we are. We are starting afresh. So let us, each and every person, look at it from their level. This is me, this is how I did, these are the challenges I had, this is where I was coming from, this is what I had done, not like collectively. You say, this group didn't perform well, don't put them in a bundle. Let it be individualized. Right. Encourage that person individually. And even the ones who did so well, this is where they go to high school with so very good marks, and then they do so badly because they were so celebrated, they became so overconfident, they forgot they are all starting at the same level. Yes.
All right. And I think at this point it would be right to put out a disclaimer. This is not meant to be a discriminative discussion against those who did well. This is meant to be an informative and encouraging session for the families that could be going through a hard time, that can be pointed back to the exam results that were put out. And you have rightfully mentioned the aspect of acceptance, and I want us to get to the next part of this conversation and looking at the steps that we can take now that the results are out. We have gotten what we have got. And the first thing that most people struggle with is accepting, I've gotten these marks. You know, even if you did so well, be like, yo, I got this. it's still very surreal to you, and others are like, I got this, you know. Let me come to you, Catherine. Why is it important to make sure that the first step that you take is to accept whatever results you have gotten?
In life, we all have our expectations.
And maybe you can also talk about the parents in this case.
Okay. In life, we all have our expectations. And by the way, those expectations can lead to a lot of disappointment. If we can look at what we got just as a stage and a step to the next level, that will help us. Because even if we sat there, we sulked and we cried all the way, that mark is not going to change. So the sooner you accept it, the better. Jane, I want to tell the parents there that we are all gifted, but gifted differently. Even those that have scored well, as my colleague has said, they may go to school and they are so ballooned, they forget that they are going to work hard. So what I want to tell our parents is we need to understand who our children are. And God has given us a task in life. A task is a short word with 4 letters, T. There's a talent in every child. So even if the child has not excelled in exam, that does not make them a failure in life. We develop this child wholeheartedly and all round. There's a task, there's a talent in every child. And the reason we are calling them to go into Form 1, that's why we're emphasizing and say they are going to start together, is because, again, these children have an ability. And the more we get exposed in life, the more our abilities get empowered and we get to know more things. Yes. Then they have a skill. And these skills don't work for us until we work on our skills. So parents, what we need to do is encourage our children and help them acquire the knowledge. I know, Jane, there are some teenager mothers that have been calling them to go back to school, and they have done very well. Yes. One of them has scored 346. So what we are telling our parents and our children is, just because kikombe imevujika sio mwisho ya kunywa chai. We push them and we encourage them to go on. And parents, I want you to reflect at what I have said, that we are gifted but gifted differently. The same way we have 5 fingers in one hand, but all these fingers are different size, are different different height. That is how our children are. Then we need to remember that these children are fighting a lot of battles. Some are unseen, where I normally call peer pressure not to be pure. So what we need to do is we give them an environment that is very, very friendly at home as a launching pad, so that when they go to school, they know they have an appointment with their destiny. We tell them, Mommy, I always want to ask, what did you score? And you remember our times, the peer pressure was not as high as now. So these children are also fighting for their space. They have a lot of internet, they have a lot of friends, they have a lot of lifestyle issues to choose from. So we must make sure that we help these children. We slow down and we walk with them. They have an appointment with their destiny. Parents, I want to tell you this. Just because your children scored lower marks, that doesn't make them a failure in life. Even that one is feeling so discouraged. I know Saturday I was speaking in one function, and the young man had scored 394, and he was still complaining. I want to say that in life, we'll always want to have higher than where we are. Yeah. And it's very good to aim higher than we are. But we must make sure that we don't allow our disappointment to turn us to be disappointed. What we need to do is be very careful, articulate the disappointment so that we can make it an appointment.
All right. Now, you've mentioned something that's quite hilarious. You know, our parents always tell us they were number one throughout their entire academic life. But let me come to you, Mercy. You know, as an advocate when it comes to mental health, wellness, and especially still looking at the kids, we always hear parents saying, I know you are a student. No, lipata bia Mercy. You know you are a 400 candidate. Now, lipata 350. Nini happen. When it comes to the importance of parents actually accepting what the children got.
Wow. Now this one, I'll answer this with 3 A's.
Go for it.
This is what happens. First of all, let me say change is inevitable. Things just happen. So when it comes, maybe your child was doing well and they've not done exactly what you were expecting. The first A, accept. When you accept, you admit, accept, you are able to accept that this is happening. It is here. It is here. And when you accept, you're able to work with this child. Instead of demoralizing them, you're able to encourage them. You're able to to even now tell them, I know this was not maybe what you expected, but you can do better. Once you do that, because when you accept, it stops you from making them feel like they've done wrong. So once you accept, you're able to move. The second one is adjust. And this is for both the parent and the child.
Yes.
Once you accept, you're able to adjust. Why did we do this? Did we do it wrong? Where did we go wrong? Two of you. It can never be, not one side is wrong. We are never actually wrong. We are all, it is life. Life is happening. So if you find we could have done better here, we go back, we find out what did we do here, what do we have, what do we have right now. Once you accept, you're able to adjust and use the most of it that you have right now. So once you accept and adjust, the adjustment can be some of them comes with a lot of pressure, because it means now we have to stop some privileges, you have to do this. Even the parent, they have to come in, you have to make some changes, and remember, change can be devastating, so you have to be, transitions should be handled with care.
Yes.
Then after accepting and adjusting, you will advance. That one comes automatically. But if you get stuck from not accepting, you will delay the adjustments and you will get more disappointments, because you will not advance.
Now, for those who do not advance, most of them, now moving to the next aspect, is the aspect of comparing.
Yeah.
And this is especially from the parents. Parents, we are guilty of this. And especially when it comes to pitting the children against each other, maybe a brother or a sister. Or your brother got this, why didn't you get that? Not learning to not compare as part of actually accepting and moving forward with what your child has gotten during this national exam. Still looking at the mental wellness aspect.
I like the comparing, but I always tell them, there is one comparing that I really love. Compare this person with who they were yesterday, not with somebody else. Because if you compare, we have just been told we are all gifted differently. So if you compare, we can even use an animal. If you compare a fish and a monkey, until they want to climb a tree, what are you doing? You know very well that fish cannot climb a tree, or a monkey, that is what it does every day. So if you want to compare the fish, tell it, yesterday you did not swim so fast, so today swim faster. That way you are going to help this child. Don't compare them. Compare them with themselves. Don't compare them with anyone else. Don't compare them with what someone else had done. Instead,
or even yourself.
Or even yourself. Actually, ourselves. You have said we used to be number one all the time.
Number one.
Yeah, there is a story that goes around. The one that one day a child collected a report form, and then they were like, with this report form, who got these marks? And the person was like, no. How can you get this kind of marks? And then the child is telling the dad, look at it very closely. This is your name. Yeah. So he's like, you've been number one all my life, but your report form, I have it here, it says otherwise. Yeah. So let us not compare them even with us. Our times were different. Yeah. These times are different. Everything has changed. Let us compare them with who they were. Even in the morning. In the morning, you are not able to read a whole page. Can you try in the afternoon to just read another page? Okay. And I'll tell you, there is one student. This student, he always tells me to tell his story. He was doing so badly in school. There is a time he got 4% in a subject. And he was so devastated. But he kept on being devastated. One day, the way we go to talk to schools, someone talked and gave the 3 A's. He's the one actually who gave me the 3 A's. He was given the 3 A's. He told me, I used the 3 A's and my life changed. So I told him, how did you use the 3 A's? I accepted I'm struggling in this and this subject. And I was like, yes, I am struggling. So I was like, I need to adjust. So I asked him, how did you adjust? He told me, I had to join a group of people who used to work so hard, and they used to be labeled machopi, not good names. So I had to sacrifice being labeled, but I had to adjust. I had to adjust my entertainment time in half of the, if it is 1 hour, 30 minutes, I had to. Let me tell you, he came from getting an E, because 4% is an E, and now he's a B student. So, and that's it. He had to adjust he had to accept, adjust, and now he had to advance. Yes.
Now, let me come to you, Catherine. Still looking at that aspect of comparing, and as parents, you know, kama mzazi, you feel you have a right to say, I've taken you to the best school, you and your brother, I put you in the same school, I provided you with the same everything, lakini huyu anakushinda kwa masomo, mbona hungepata kama huyu?
Let me say that we are all wired very differently. Yeah. And Jane, I would want to say that all of us would want to be number one. But practically speaking, it's not possible because the nitty-gritties of everybody's body is different, even the way our minds work. So what I want to tell parents is, yes, we can compare, but I want you to get the next one, that life is more by grace than grades. But we need all the grades and the grace to make it in life. Jane, when I was in school, they called me Bikwoma. And I owned my books all through, but now they watch me. What I want to tell parents is, just because your child is not performing like the other child, that doesn't make them a dad ahead. There's still a lot of hope. What you need to do with that child is realize who they are and then fund them up. Keep encouraging them at their level to do their very best. And as long as they have done their very best, as long as they have the right attitude, I'm sure they are going to excel. Comparison is a thief of creativity, and comparison can even bring siblings rivalry because they feel hated and the other one is more appreciated. What you need to do is compare our child with themselves and set a pace for each one of us. Try to understand that child so that again we don't push them to depression and then we ask Nina to bow you mtoto. So what parents we need to do is get to realize that all our children are a gift from God. They are all gifted differently and everyone has their own strength. So we dig and we drill down to understand what are the strengths in this one. Then we'll be able to bring them up on the strength. However, that doesn't mean we stop educating them at class 8 because they don't have strength. We take them on. The word of God which I'm holding this morning tells me that always remember what you have learned. Your education is your life. So these children need to understand that this education is their life and they need to soldier on, being pressed to do their very best. When I look at the word best, Jane, I look at it as an acronym where B tells me B, E tells me excellent, as skillful and teachable. So we make sure that we tell our children they can be excellent, skillful and teachable with the right attitudes.
With the right attitude, and that comes with talking it out. And that is the next aspect that we're going to be looking at, but that will be coming up after we take this very quick breather. So do stay with us. We will be right back.